Welcome to the lesson on Java Methods Part 1. Recall that the fundamental building block in Java is a class, and the class commonly consists of two main parts, properties and methods. We talked about the various types of properties in our primitive and reference types videos. Now we will begin a new sub-series on methods. Methods can also be called or referred to as functions, procedures, or routines. A method consists of two parts, a signature or interface, and the body or implementation. Let's talk about the signature first. A method signature has an optional scope qualifier, a required return type, and name followed by open and close parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you can have 0, 1, or more formal parameters where each parameter is a variable declaration. Let's now talk about the various scope qualifiers, or sometimes referred to as modifiers. There are 4 scope qualifiers: private, none as in nothing there, protected, and public. Any method in the same class can access a private method. It can also access a method that doesn't have a scope qualifier. It can also access a protected method as well as a public method. Any method in the subclass in the same package can access private method, can access a method with no scope qualifier. It can access a protected method. It can also access a public method. Any method in another class in the same package cannot access a private method, but it can access a method with no scope qualifier, can access a protected method. It can also access a public method. Any method in a subclass in a different package cannot access a private method. It can't access a method without a scope qualifier, but it can access a protected method and a public method. Any other method within any other class in a different package can only access a public method. Let's now talk about the method body by taking a look at 3 sample methods and their usage. We have 3 methods declared here: max, return grade, and print names. The method signature of max is public int, which returns an integer type and passes in 2 int type parameters, n1 and n2. The body of the method consists of finding out which of the 2 integers is greater. At line 26, we have an if statement that compares n1 with n2 to see if n1 is greater than n2. If n1 is greater than n2, we return n1. Otherwise, we return n2. And if they're equal, it doesn't matter which one we return. In this case, we happen to return n2 in that case. The return grade method has a char return type, public access, and passes in a double score. If the score is greater than or equal to 90, return A. Otherwise, if the score is greater than or equal to 80, return B. If it's greater than or equal to 70, return C. If it's greater than or equal to 60, return D. Otherwise, return F. The third method is called print names. It has a void return type, meaning that nothing is being returned. It has public access, and it passes in a string array called names. In the body of this method, from lines 57 to 60, we set up a for loop that iterates over the names, the strings within the names array, and prints the name of each element of the array. And then it has a return line printout at line 60. Let's go ahead and take a look at how these methods are used. So let's go ahead and set up a variable called myMethods, which is a myMethods return type, or type, equals new myMethods. And let's type in the variable name followed by dot and select the feature or a method of the class. We'll select max and we'll pass in two integer values, 100 and 200. And let's go ahead and return this into a variable called m of integer type and display this to the console. Let's go ahead and call the next method, return grade. So let's pass in a grade, 79.99. And assign it into a variable called ch of type char. Okay, let's go ahead and display that. And let's take a look also at the last method, print names. But first let's declare an array type of names. And pass that in as a parameter to the method print names. So let's go ahead and run this. And we see as output 200, which is correct. 200 is greater than 100. We see the letter grade C, which corresponds to being greater than or equal to 70 but less than 80. And we see the names being printed out: Tom, Susan, Doug, Bob. This concludes the video on Java Methods Part 1.